Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have the privilege of doing a podcast with Girish Hiranandani, board member of Hira Industries LLC. And before we get started, I know you have a really busy schedule, so I just wanted to say that I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. And so I guess we'll get started. I've heard from my dad that you're very efficient. Could you please give me an introduction about yourself in 1 minute or less?
Yeah. First of all, thanks, Chad, for thinking of me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I don't think I'm as important. I think this is my first official podcast. And no, I'm not so efficient. So 1 minute is a little bit. First, I'm a father. I've got 3 kids. You know, one of them, Arman. You play badminton with him. I've got a daughter, Sachi, with 1 grade below you. So you're between the sandwich generation. I have a younger son, Arnav. I'm married. My wife's name is Priya. I'm married now for 27 years. I met her in 1995. And we got married in 98. And then I'm also a son. My mom lives very close to us. I'm also a brother. My brother's name is Manish. He's 5 years younger and he works with me. For work, I run a business in the HVAC industry, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Some other interesting stuff about me: I've also done the half Ironman Dubai. I've done the half Ironman Oman. I like to try to remain healthy, not as healthy as your dad. He's an inspiration, but I'm trying to get there.
Okay, amazing.
So yes, I think a minute or maybe a bit more.
No, that was good. So we'll start from the very beginning. I know you grew up in Dubai, but before we get into that, can you just explain to me how your family ended up in Dubai and the UAE?
Yeah, so I actually grew only in the second half in Dubai. I actually came to Dubai when I was 9 years old.
Okay.
I was born in Bombay. So I tell my kids all the time that you do not come from a middle class family or a humble family. You come from a poor family. So how we ended up in Dubai, I was born in 72. We used to live in a small apartment of 2-bedroom with my grandparents, my parents and me. It was like maybe a 900 square foot apartment. My grandfather used to collect tickets in a train. He was a ticket collector, earning $3 a month. So that's what I said. We don't come from a middle class family. He wasn't educated. My dad was the first one in our family to be educated. He went to a mechanical engineering school. So Dubai, when they found oil, they started building. I think my dad was one of the lucky first few waves to come in as a mechanical engineer. He came here in 1975. They started building Dubai. I was in the late 60s to early 70s. Initial building had box ACs. Which didn't need much engineering. When they needed engineering in the mid 70s, that's when my dad came in. So my dad's neighbor actually had a job with Al Futtaim. And at the last minute, the neighbor's wife didn't let the neighbor go. So my mom and my neighbor's wife knew each other, and she told my mom, like, they're looking for any mechanical engineer. My husband has a job, but I don't want to go. Your husband's a mechanical engineer, do you want to go? And that's how my dad ended up in Dubai. But he came initially like sharing one room with 3 or 4 guys. So he left my mom there. She came 6 months later. I came 5 years later when he could afford his own apartment. So he came in 75, but he could afford his first apartment only by 1980. So I came in 1980, I was born in 72. So I came here actually when I was 8 years old.
And you came with your brother?
No, my brother was born here in 77.
Oh, okay.
And Manish. And so I stayed with my grandparents for a year or 2. And then I went to a boarding school in a small town next to Pune. Pune is a city in India. So then I went to boarding school in Panchkani for 2 years. And then I came here.
What was growing up in Dubai like? How was the move and how was school here?
So I came here when I was 8 years old. We used to live in Par Dubai in a small apartment. I did my grade 4 and 5 in Indian high school. That time there was a massive immigration wave at that time in the late 70s. And the school was quite small. So they used to teach girls in the morning and boys in the afternoon.
Wow.
because they had limited number of classes. So they rotated the class twice. So the girls' shift was from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. The boys' shift from 1:30 to 7 p.m. or something. So I went to school in the afternoon.
Yeah. Wow.
For grade 4 and 5, which was quite strange. And then when my dad's business started to do a little bit better, then he moved me to Shwefat. In those days, the Asians, specifically the Indians, wanted the kids to finish school fast so they could start working faster. So my parents made me skip grade 6. And so when I switched schools from Indian high school to Shwefat, I went from grade 5 to grade 7. And I did grade 6 in one summer. I wish I would have done grade 6 because I think I was very young when I went to uni and very young when I graduated. I think a year later would have been better.
Did you used to enjoy school?
No. So I was in the bottom 5% of everything.
Like subjects wise?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking everything.
Okay.
In academics, I was in the bottom 5%, meaning because I skipped that grade. I didn't have many friends actually. I only had 1 or 2 friends. I wasn't very social.
Yeah.
So even socially, I was in the bottom 5%. Physically, I was overweight, so bottom 5%. Sports, I didn't play any sports.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Not even badminton?
Nothing. So I was inactive, not social, and pretty bad in academics.
And I heard you're a big reader. Did that start at a young age?
No.
Also
Much
not.
later. Maybe after I was 30. So now I listen to books, about 1 book a week. And I used to read about 8 books a year, roughly, in my 30s. But what I don't like about reading is that you're sitting, you're not moving, and I don't like to sit for a long time. So what I love about listening is you can walk and listen to books at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's what I like doing.
Nice.
So I listen to about one book a week, but I read about maybe 3 to 4 books a year.
Okay. And what about the entrepreneur in you? Did that start at a young age?
No, also much later.
Okay.
I was a very, very late bloomer in everything.
Okay.
In fact, if you would see me at 30, I would probably be in the bottom 5% of everything in terms of money. I was broke. My family was broke. I was unfit. Wasn't a reader. Didn't have too many friends until I was probably 30. So definitely a very, very late bloomer. So the entrepreneurship school, in AST, we have the red envelope.
Yeah.
So I just, my youngest son just graduated. I wrote the red envelope. I said, you only grow when you're broke, or when you're a failure, or when you have your heart broken. And I told my kids, I'm very lucky. I went through all of them before I was 30.
Yeah.
So the entrepreneurship bit, I was broke. So our business almost went bankrupt in, I would say 95 to 98. It was a downward slide. And we couldn't pay salaries for 6 months. We couldn't pay suppliers for 6 months. The net worth of the business was negative. Then my father said, why don't you go and do your own thing? Then I moved to New York, got a job. Then I got fired from that job as well. So I was unemployed and the business was bankrupt if you saw me at the age of 30. So I don't know what to do. And then I came back. And that's when you so I don't think you learn when you're successful. I don't think I'm learning anything now. I think you learn only when you fail, when you don't have any resources. So I think being broke is actually, I'm very lucky to be broke at some stage in my life. I think everyone should be broke at some stage in your life because that's when you grow. I actually don't think you can grow as a person unless you're broke.
Can you take me back to when you're starting to apply to universities, you're finishing up high school, and where did you decide to go and how did you choose your major?
So I wasn't a very good student. Shwefat had a ranking system, and it was like the stock market. The ranks change every week because we had 2 exams every week. We had an AMS exam and a weekly exam. So your grades are changing every week. And I think every Thursday, breakfast time, they put the new ranks, and we all rush because your dad was always in the top 3. I was in the bottom 3. you know. So I wasn't a very, very good student. And anyway, there was a red line, which was 11.00. So anyone below 11.00 fails. So I just passed grade 12. I was like 11.56 or something. Had my GPA would have been below 10.99, I had to repeat grade 12. So I just passed. Wasn't a good student at all. In those days, Miss Miles used to push everyone to go to the UK. She was very anti-US in terms of education. I think about 70% to 75% of our kids went to the UK, and 25% went to US and Canada. In those days, 1989, until the mid-80s, I would say, well, when Dubai boom started in the early to mid-70s, the first wave of kids raised in Dubai started going to the West, I would say, in the early to mid-80s. So I was in the mid-80s, most of them in the UK. I was in the late 80s is when you're the first wave to go to the US.
Okay.
So I was on the first wave to go to the US. So that's why it was easy to get in. I went to Babson College for my undergrad. I had a shitty SAT score. I got 400 in my SAT verbal, which is, you get, I think, 300 just to write your name. So, I was probably bottom 5% of SAT verbal. Math, I would say slightly above average, but not like Arman. I think he had 800, so I got 690. So I went to Babson. I guess because I was the first one from UAE to apply to Babson. So I think at that time, US universities wanted to diversify, wanted diversity in students, and I think that's why I got it. Now to get into Babson is very, very difficult.
Babson's in Boston?
Yeah, it's a small town called Wellesley.
Okay.
It's 12 miles west of Boston.
Okay, nice. And what was university life like for you?
My grades were shit over there as well. My GPA was 2.54 out of 4. I needed 2 to pass. Wasn't a very good student. I played squash. I was in the Babson College squash team. Not because I was good in squash, because they wanted to find people who knew how to play squash. So because I knew how to play squash, they were looking for Asian kids there, or like brown kids who play squash, because Americans don't play squash, Europeans don't play squash, Asians don't play squash, only Indians and Pakistanis play squash. So they were trying to find who is of Indian Pakistani background at the time, and they put us all on the squash team. But so my average squash score was lower than my GPA. So I got thrashed every team. The squash game here is still 9. The squash game there is still 15.
Yeah.
So I was thrashed 15-1, 15-2, 15-3 every squash game.
And so at what point did you get into the family business?
So I was too young when I graduated college. I was only 20.
Okay. I graduated college
when I was 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
You graduated university when you were 20?
20. Too young. Yeah,
wow, that's crazy.
I was too young, but I think because I skipped grade 6. So I was done grade 6, I graduated when I was 21. And then I didn't know anything better, right? I graduated literally, and I graduated a semester early. So I graduated December 16th, 1992. I took a flight and I was at work on December 18th, 1992. Small warehouse in Sharjah. 8 or 10 employees, and I just went to work the next day.
And how long did you stay at that job?
I got fired from that job as well. Being fired from your dad isn't really fun.
Yeah.
So I got fired in 1998. So I stayed in the job. I was in sales pretty much. So I did hardcore sales from 92 to 98. From December 92 till March 98. And then I got married in April 98. Then me and my wife Priya, we went to the US to do our masters.
Okay, so after you graduated university, you went to work for your dad in Sharjah?
In Sharjah, yeah.
And then your dad fired you from that job, and then you moved back to the US?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how long did you spend in the US? And then at what point did you re-enter the family business?
So I spent then in the US from April 98 till October 01, so about 3.5 years. In the US, me and Priya, we did our masters in finance. We went to Boston College.
Okay.
Then I got a job from there I got a job in PricewaterhouseCoopers in their TLS practice, tax and legal services. Within TLS, they had a practice called International Transfer Pricing. So international transfer pricing, let's say when IBM America buys services from IBM India. For example, IBM India has got 80,000 employees in India and about 120,000 employees in the US. And they outsource a lot of their R&D to India. So what pricing should IBM India build to IBM US? So we used to do the transfer pricing practices between, I think I worked on Lucent, I worked on AT&T and a bunch of other clients. Did that job for 9 months. I didn't like the job at all. I hated the job. And then I moved to KPMG in a practice, within a fast practice, financial advisory services, within that in BRS, business restructuring services. So we used to restructure sick firms. I was living in New York, but every week I was in Missouri or Pennsylvania or in a different part of the US.
What didn't
And I got
you
fired from that job as well. I've been fired twice in my life. First was from the Gap. You know the Gap store?
Yeah, the clothing store.
Yeah, I used to work at the Gap.
Okay.
When I was in college. I got fired from there, then from my dad, and then from KPMG.
What didn't you like about those jobs in the US?
Well, I like Gap.
Yeah.
So I used to be a very shy kid in high school. I mean, your dad would remember. And so I used to fold clothes at the Gap. And what I learned at the Gap is anyone who enters the store, you have to approach them and say, "Hi, my name is Girish. If there's anything you need, I'll be right there." That helped me approach anyone. So now if I go anywhere to a party or anywhere, I just say, "Hi, I'm Girish."
Yeah.
And then I start talking. So I learned that skill by working at the Gap. And then, so I liked Gap. The reason I got fired because they used to have a employee discount where you get 50% off.
Yeah.
So my friends started coming with me so I to shop for them, and then they used to pay me back. And then I got lazy, then I gave my employee card to my friends. Then they went shopping, and then they found out, and that's how I got fired.
Yeah. And what didn't you like about the two other jobs?
Well, I liked working in the family business, but our strategies were very different.
Okay. You and your dad?
Yeah. So that's when I left. But we maintained a good relationship. We parked the business aside, but as a father and son, we had a very good relationship. The third job, what I didn't like was working in the Big Four is not fun. As an associate or a senior associate, a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of 2 + 2 = 4, and making it look nice and pretty, changing the font, changing the bold, changing the italics, and you're in a cubicle. You don't interact with humans. So I didn't like that part of the job, but I was there because it was paying me decent, and I was living in New York City. But I guess since I wasn't enjoying that job, eventually my results came out, and I was called for an HR review with my boss. Her name was Lisa Ash, and literally I got fired on the spot. She goes, "I'm sorry, I need to let you go. You have to leave the building within the next 5 minutes." I was young, so I should have been expecting it, but I didn't expect it.
And was that a big shock at the time, not only just because you had gotten fired, but also?
I think it was a shock because I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of what to do. I was job hunting, so my parents said, "Why don't you come here for a couple of weeks? Take some time off." I came here for a couple of weeks, probably in July 01. And my dad said, "Why don't you come back?" I said, strategies are very different. He said, "Why don't you come back? You seem to be matured. And if you come back, I will give you the full freedom." I said, "Sure, I'll come back." Then I came back in October 01. And he did give me the full freedom.
So was that your condition to rejoining the family business?
I wouldn't say the condition, it was a discussion.
Okay.
But he agreed to what we discussed.
Okay. So now I guess we can go into you joining the family business. Can you explain to me what it was like, joining this business, and what were the first things that you did right away?
So, when I worked with my dad initially, 1998, what I saw was, those in Dubai, the business was, you go out to the West and you become an agent. So he became the agent of a company called Rubatex from Virginia, Mupro from Germany. Rubatex makes pipe insulation, Mupro makes pipe hangers. He was the agent of Green Heck fans. So you work very hard. You go to the architects, go to the designers, you get spec'd in. And then they put in the design specification, Green Heck, Mupro, Rubatex. And then the contractors buy it, then you have to import it, stock it, and sell it. So what I found was we were being squeezed from all the sides. So our suppliers, what we call our principals, they wanted to keep on increasing the price. And the contractors wanted a lower price and delayed payment terms. Meanwhile, the suppliers wanted advanced terms. So you're being squeezed on cash flow, you're being squeezed on margins, and it was a lose-lose game. So if you don't give your principals enough volume, they will move to another agent. So whatever you've spent 10 years building this agency, you pretty much lose it overnight. Then you have to remove the salespeople, you have to liquidate your inventory. If you're very successful, you will lose again. Because let's say we were the agent of Iceon refrigerants, we are quite successful, but then they set up their own warehouse in Jebel Ali, they set up their own distribution network over here, and then it's like, thanks guys for building our brand for the past 20 years, but now the brand's big enough and we will distribute it ourselves. So if you don't do well, you lose. If you do well, you lose.
Yeah.
So what we changed right away, what I call the first 100-day impact, was I sat down with my brother and said, the strategy worked well in the 80s, but I think we are a decade behind. We should have changed our strategy a decade back, which was stop being an agent and start having your own brand and our own factories. So we started doing that. So me and my brother, we created a company called Hira Industries in 2002. So me and my brother were the founders of Hira Industries, and then my dad's company was called our Hira Traders, and that we slowly winded it down.
Okay. So did your brother join you?
He joined in 99. So he joined 2 years before my second inning.
Okay. And so you set up your own manufacturing. Where was that set up?
Yeah, well, we didn't have money. Remember, we were broke. So there was no setup.
Yeah.
We literally bought one machine for 3,000 dirhams.
Wow.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. And we bought dies worth another 6,000 dirhams to make rubber dies. We were buying rubber sheets from somewhere in Al Quds. We were putting it in a die machine and we were making inserts out of it.
And then from there, what was your next
We bought one
step?
machine for 3,000 dirhams. So one thing I told my brother when we came back, that we won't take any dividends for the first 10 years. 10 years in the bootstrap. We were both living in small apartments in Par Dubai, paying rents of 25 grand a month. Sorry, 25 grand a year, 30 grand a year. Our salaries were very small, 5,000 a month, 7,000 a month. We were living off that. So for the first decade, we did that. And we reinvested all the profits that we made. So one machine, we bought second machine, third machine, fourth machine, then one factory, second factory, third factory. You fast forward 23 years later, now we have, I think, about 16 plants around the world.
And what was the reasoning behind not taking any investment for the first 10 years?
Oh, you mean dividends?
Or dividends, sorry.
Because in the mid-90s, when you had a problem, we had taken a lot of dividends, invested in property. So because we removed the equity from the business collapsed, and the properties we bought in India, that never came up. It was off plan. So we lost that money as well. And so when we came here in the noughties, all my friends were buying properties in Dubai. But I said, there's no way in hell I'm going to do that, because we almost lost the business in the mid-90s. So we're not going to repeat the same mistake in the noughties. So in the property boom of Dubai, 03 to 08, we didn't invest in any properties at all. We just spent all our money and time just to retain the earnings and to build the business.
So you started reinvesting money back into the business, buying more?
100%.
Okay.
Buying more machines, building more factories. In the construction supply industry, you have to give a lot of credit. So building a receivables book, building inventory.
What was the next step from there to scaling?
So next step was when the Dubai recession hit in 2008, we had all these factories and the demand collapsed by 75%. So no one was buying. So we're like, shit, what do we do? So then what we did was, I remember in 09 to 012, we opened about 9 or 10 new offices around the Gulf. We opened in Abu Dhabi, we opened in Sharjah, Oman, Qatar, Riyadh, Jeddah, Dammam, Kuwait, Bahrain, everywhere. So then we moved a lot of staff from here to Saudi, here to Qatar, here to Oman, here to Kuwait. The staff had good experience and good relationship with us. So we didn't fire anyone. And even though our revenue went down by 75%, we didn't fire anyone. We just moved the staff to different locations. Because we had retained all the earnings, we had kept the capital high, so we didn't have any pressure from the banks or suppliers. So we moved the staff around, and then those markets started to do well. And Dubai then picked up again from 012 onwards. And then the company started doing really well. Then we became a leader in the Gulf region from, I would say, 012 to 015.
Were you always planning on expanding out of the UAE? Or was that just like an opportunity?
I think we were forced to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. But so we expand in 3 ways. We expand now geographically. So what happened in 014, 015, when you had the Arab Spring, then you had the ISIS crisis. So when ISIS was becoming stronger in 014, 15, we're like, shit, everything we have is in the Middle East. So we should use the skill sets that we've created and expand outside the Middle East. So a natural step was to expand into India. Not because we're Indian or we're from India, because the market size, the construction market size and the HVAC market size in India was exploding like crazy. And it's nearby, all the engineers are from India. So we said if we create a good name for us in India, we could be known among the engineering associations within India and the Gulf region. So we set up our first factory in India in 0015 in a place called Pune. Since then, we've kept building factories in India. So we're opening our 4th factory. We just opened, I think, 2 or 3 months back.
At this point in the business, were you still managing everything?
I would say me and my brother, we shared like a co-CEO role at that time.
Okay. So you hadn't hired at this point any high level like CEOs or anything like that?
No, we didn't have high level CEOs. We two were the CEOs, and then, but we had operation directors, different MDs for different companies, And then what we did when we created India, we're like, okay, that's not so difficult. Then we created Vietnam. The Vietnam factory opened in 2022, and then the US factory is opening next month on July 29th, which is the first death and anniversary of our dad.
What was the reason behind expanding into the US?
It's the biggest market in the world. It's 28% of the world's GDP. For example, if you go to a small wholesaler in Texas, talk to him about pipe installation, his annual volume is 20 million US a year that he can buy. If you go to a small wholesaler in Oman, his annual volume is 2 to 300K US a year. So the same effort, you get 100x the volume. It's a mature market. The wholesalers, they pay on time. It's got a strong legal system, strong judicial system. It's a market which is very mature in terms of the bond markets, equities market, the banking. Middle East, I would say, it's not mature yet.
Did the new tariffs imposed on businesses in the US, did that play a role in a role in your reasoning of let's set up factories in-house in the US so that they can buy
No.
locally?
No. We bought the land in the US in, I think, in 2019.
Okay. So before
And it takes time, then we had COVID, so we shelved the plans. Then we had some other issues, we shelved the plans. So, and then it takes time to build the factory.
Yeah.
So when you build a factory, you're putting up a flag somewhere where you'll be for the next at least 3 decades. So we don't care whether it's Trump or Barack or Blues or the Reds. Okay. We are betting on the US.
It's more of a long-term.
It's more long-term. Like same thing in India. We don't care whether it's BJP or Congress. So we're not betting on the governments or the policies that will change with each government.
Yeah.
Tariffs doesn't affect us very much because our main product is insulation. Insulation, the freight rates tend to be high because it's a very low value product. So even now, there's not that much insulation that's imported in the US. It's all made within the US. But the market size of foam insulation is growing quite fast.
Can you take me back to when was the first time that you really started delegating a lot of the leadership roles in your business, and were there any challenges that came with that?
So me and my brother, we left the management about 2 years back. So, but most of our net worth is still in the business, so we can't be completely hands off. That doesn't make any sense. So we are executive board members, where we tell the Hira Holding Board and different operations board on what strategy we should make in terms of capex and investments, and then they execute it. I'm now 53. I'll be 54 my next birthday. So when you delegate, everyone has a chance to grow. The last name doesn't have to be a Hira to become the group CEO. And that way we can get the best person for the job.
And what does your day-to-day role in the business look like today?
So we have about 16 factories worldwide. So we do their operation review once a month. Each operation review takes about 3 hours. We go through the sales book, the ratios, the financials, the capex, the headaches, the strategies. And then we have a functional review once a month where we go through ERP, marketing, legal, HR. So that's a lot of meetings. So I don't have to attend every meeting. So every meeting is there in my schedule. So for example, today I had a meeting for one of my reviews in India on Zoom. It was from 2 p.m. to about 4:30. But I let the team know that I'll attend only from 2 till 3. I'll just give my viewpoints and I'll exit, and then you guys can have the meeting. So I don't take more than two meetings a day. It's already set, one at 10:30, one at 2. That's it.
Okay.
They're just review meetings. I don't meet customers, I don't meet suppliers. I don't have anyone that reports to me. So I'm free. One thing I want to do my 50th, I want to be free of time, free of location, free of the game.
Yeah.
And you can be free of the game only if you're one of the best in the game. And then you can be free of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm free of location because I'm done now with my youngest child, Arnav. So I don't need to be in Dubai all the time. I'm free of my time because I don't need to be in the office. I have a strong management team who are actually doing pretty well.
Are there any situations in the business that require you to travel or to go somewhere in person?
I like to be a cheerleader for the troops. So I was in India about 2 weeks back. I need to go to India, but I went to Delhi, Ahmedabad, and Bangalore just to meet our team because it gives me a pulse of what's happening in all the markets, and I believe that it more motivates the team when I go visit over there. But no, I don't have a need to visit, but I like to visit.
And how do you balance now family life, work, and your health?
So that's very simple. So I follow the logo fitness first. So when it comes to my
Nice.
time management, first I think of my fitness. So I do 4 hours of strength a week and 4 hours of either bike, run, or swim a week. So that's my 8 hours. That's non-negotiable. I started doing yoga once a week, but I'm not really enjoying it, but I'm still doing it. I started doing golf twice a week. That also on the fence. I'm not really enjoying it, so I might give it up. Now that I have a bit more free time, I thought I'll pick up golf, but I don't really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I do a lot of walking because so in addition to the 8 hours of cardio and strength, I would say another 8 to 10 hours of walking a week.
Sure.
And my second focus on time management is time with my immediate family. So I make sure I spend enough time with my wife and the kids. Third is the extended family, where I spend enough time with my parent, with my mom and my brother, his wife, his kids. Then it's work, and then it's friends. So every time I have to choose a time, that's my logic, how I choose my time.
And do you go visit your kids when they're in university?
Yeah. I go very often.
Nice. So yeah, now tell me about the Ironman.
So my last Ironman I actually did was in 2020.
Okay.
So, and then since then I've been doing small races. So I don't want to impose too much on my joints. And the Ironman, I mean, I'm not very fast. So my goal is to complete, but not compete.
Okay.
So the cutoff time for Ironman is about 8.5 hours. I finish in about 7.5 hours. So I take it easy. I just like the thrill.
Yeah.
But I'm probably doing less of that and more of strength.
Okay.
Doesn't look it, because my eating habits are not as good as your dad's.
Yeah.
I have more sugar than I should. And maybe more food than I should. Because in Dubai we tend to be more social, and when you socialize you tend to eat more.
How would you advise someone to choose a life partner?
Or that's the single most important decision you make in your life. I think that's just luck. Someone can seem like a perfect fit on the time you meet him or her, but then people change over time. So I think that's a luck of draw. So I got very lucky. When I met Priya, she was 20 and I was 23. I've seen people who were an amazing fit at that age, but then they grow apart. One person grows, the other person doesn't grow. Physically, mentally, spiritually, relationship, when one person doesn't grow. So that you both need to grow, or you both don't grow.
Yeah.
But you both need to grow. So I've been very, very lucky in that way. I think there's luck of draw. Of course, there are rare red flags, which you shouldn't be attracted to. Someone who doesn't respect, someone who's very rude, someone who's a big spender. That for me is a big red flag. I think after 33 years of working, I've seen the successful people are the ones who are able to maintain good relationships. So that's a red flag. If your future wife or partner cannot maintain a relationship, that's a problem.
Do you have any advice for young parents?
Young parents?
Yeah, like I guess parents that just had kids.
Oh, I have advice for young people in their 20s. I'll come to the parent part a bit later. I think in the 20s, you should not know what you want. You should live in different cities. You should do different jobs, have different partners to figure out what type of person you like, what type of city you like, and what type of job you like. And by the time you're 30, you should know. For young parents, I mean, what we did, I think, worked out very well. So what I did was I was overweight when Aman was born. So when Aman was 3 years old, I wanted him to be fit. So I became fit so that he could be fit. Because I don't want him to look at me on a couch telling him to go run around. So advice for young parents, I would say, is to be fit, to work hard, because kids don't listen to what you tell them, but they look at what you're doing. So if you are working hard at your job, at your relationships, on your fitness, they will look at it. They are looking at me when I talk to my parents. They're like, if I'm nice to my parents, they'll be nice to me. If I'm rude to my parents, they'll be rude to me. They see me and my brother have a good relationship, me and my sibling. So then they'll have a good relationship with the siblings. If I don't have a good relationship with my sibling, they will not have a good relationship with each other. So advice to the young parents is basically my previous advice. Have good relationships, work hard.
Do you think entrepreneurship is cut out for everyone?
No, I don't think so. I think everyone should do whatever they want. If you want to be a doctor and you want to cure cancer, working at, I don't know, Pfizer or something, or I don't know, at a hospital or clinic, or that might be your thing. But because you'll be an entrepreneur, you shouldn't give up that.
Yeah.
Or if you'll be, and some people like being in a multinational, and they like that corporate job, so they shouldn't be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is not very organized at all.
Okay, that's all I had from me.
Cool.
Do you have any?
Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening.
Thank you again for your time. Appreciate it.